We just took a short trip to the Gulf Coast of Florida. Nothing fancy, just some sunshine, salt air, and slow mornings. And somehow it ended up being one of the most restorative trips we've ever taken. Dare we say, even better than the all-inclusive resort in Aruba? Our first stop was to visit Boca Grande, where we went to Gasparilla Island State Park. Parking was super easy, and we chose to stop at the area with the Lighthouse. Look at all of these shells. There was numerous on this beach, and we also pretty much had the beach to ourselves. There were only a few other families here and plenty of space for everyone to spread out. We collected all these beautiful different colored shells and then swam in this super calm water together. Before we left the beach, I wandered through the paths around the historic lighthouse that was recently renovated. It was perfectly manicured, but still wild in that Florida kind of way. There were plenty of geckos darting around and lots of beautiful views of the ocean and sky mixed in with the flora and fauna. If you can't tell in my voice, I am relaxed even just looking at these videos again as I record this because it truly was so beautiful, so quiet, so tranquil, and so majestic. There was multiple educational signs, but not too many to be annoying, and they were just tucked off to the side and gave you great information on what you were looking at and enjoying. There was also awesome sandy trails just on the other side of this lighthouse. I'm not quite sure how far they went, but it felt incredibly special walking through this little tunnel that the foliage made and enjoying your walk back towards the beach. And I believe it might lead to the ocean, but either way, it was very relaxing and I saw more little geckos out here. There was also a cool sign about gopher tortoises who dig burrows other animals use as a shelter. Basically, they're the introverts of the animal kingdom. How cool is that? Then we hit the road and started heading back, soaking in all the stillness that Boca Grande has to offer as we left the island. I highly recommend visiting this spot if it hasn't been on your list already. We had heard about Turtle Beach and tried to check it out, but it was super crowded, so we quickly got back in the car and decided to head up to Venice Beach instead. It was still a little crowded, but it was beautiful. We stumbled across this sea turtle sculpture project where the guests of the beach fill a giant turtle shape with collected plastic bottles to remind us that our small choices matter and help us protect our incredible wildlife and sea creatures. And then we found a shark tooth. As a kid that grew up on the ocean, this was so cool. I had never found a sand shark tooth before. The next day brought us to a new island. Driving onto Sanibel Island felt like entering another world. Water on both sides, soft wind through the windows, and beaches lining the causeway before we even reached the island. It was really pretty and we were so happy to be here. We knew there was no way we were going to spend the whole day at the beach, so we spent the hardest part of the day at the J.N. Ding Darling Wildlife Drive. It was nearly 100 degrees, but the drive made it totally worth it. It's $10 per car and good for 3 days. We parked at the very first trail because we were told by the guides that it was our best chance to spot a gator. We didn't see one, just heard a dramatic splash, but we did see so many birds. Some weren't even on the ID signs. And fish were literally jumping feet out of the water like they were some kind of underwater talent show going on. It was the coolest thing ever. Even in the heat, it was super peaceful here, and we loved when we were able to just be in the car after spending the time on this first trail, checking out all these incredible animals. If you visit and you're feeling like going out more, you can canoe here. There are several other outlooks that you can just stop at or hike into. And look at, there's another iguana. We saw so many of them on this trip. It was really fun. This is a great place to visit as a couple or even with your family. I think kids would love this. Before leaving the island, we stopped at Bowman's Beach. This is one of 2 of the most popular beaches on Sanibel Island. We heard the shells here were unmatched, and honestly, it lived up to the hype. There was more full, unbroken shells here than Venice or Turtle Beach, though Gasparilla still holds our heart and had many full shells as well. There was fewer people there and easier parking, calmer everything. It was definitely worth the visit. We couldn't visit the Gulf Coast without checking out some sunsets, and we were lucky enough to catch 2. This one was right outside of our hotel. On our last day before heading back to Gasparilla for one final swim, we decided to visit the Peace River Wildlife Center. I was not ready for how much this space would move me. Most of the animals that enter their care can never return to the wild, but the care and love they receive here is absolutely beautiful. The staff that we had the honor of meeting were absolutely so kind to these animals and knew so much about them. I felt so lucky that I was able to capture this incredible moment between this woman and owl.
Who loves you, darling?
Oh my goodness. Hello, beautiful.
All right, we're heading off for a coffee shop.
Thank you so
Everybody
much.
get a picture that wants one? Okay.
We met 6 screech owls, including Luna, the only all-white screech owl ever recorded. He's 12 and a half years old and weighs just 6 ounces. In the wild, he would have lived to be only about 3 years old. Although we quickly fell in love with the owls, they weren't the only animals here. We also saw a pelican with one wing happily hanging out with his full pelican crew. We saw a barred owl getting misted by water, a heron, 2 eagles, and one of the most friendliest blue jays I've ever seen in my life. We were so happy to learn that they are currently building a brand new, much larger facility so that they'll be able to take care of many more birds, mammals, and reptiles in the future. It's slated to open up next spring, and we are so looking forward to visiting. We then hopped back in our rental car and over to Boca Grande, where we crossed the Causeway again and went to Gasparilla State Park one last time to check out the shells and to go swimming at this super calm and relaxing beach. The shells here are just as good, if not better, than the ones over on Sanibel Island. The coolest part was literally every time you went, you ended up picking something new. There was different colors, there was different shapes and textures and patterns. And I mean, even look at this little guy. He is adorable. One of my favorite parts of this day was watching the tiniest clams bury themselves back in the sand after waves washed them up. Their butterfly wing-shaped shells came in every color. It felt like a living rainbow. I could have sat here for hours watching them. It's a good reminder, too, that even the tiniest shells, if not cracked open, are still probably holding someone that is living. And here's Jeff doing the Sanibel stoop, just not in Sanibel. That's what they call it when people are looking for shells on Sanibel Island. For us, it turns out that a slow, sandy $9 beach day can do more for the soul than any luxury getaway. Tell us in the comments if you would pay $9 to spend the day here.